Alright, so here we are, Circuit de la Sarthe, Le Mans. Le Mans, as it's known in the States. Have not been on the track yet thus far. I've just now loaded it. So we're going to see all this together. You're going to see my first impressions. Right now, so far, I'm seeing some flashing shadows in the grandstands just on the scene changing. Not sure what that's all about. I might need to reconfigure my graphics, delete my render INI. It's something that you might want to think about doing anytime you run a graphics config, is delete your render.ini file completely. That doesn't always cause problems leaving it there, but sometimes it can. So it's just kind of safe to go ahead and do it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is build a setup for the HPD. And I've never run this track before, so you guys will see everything that I do to get the car right for a track like this. We're going to start with a baseline. I was going to use, as a matter of fact, let me back out of here. Alright, let's go back in here. Alright, so I was going to use my Daytona set as my baseline, but apparently, and this is what I've heard, that iRacing has a baseline set called Le Mans for this car already, so I'm going to actually start with their baseline and see what needs to be changed from there. Eventually, when this loads. Le Mans has a little bit of a load time to it. I've loaded it once. It didn't, it's not as bad as Nürburgring by any stretch. Nürburgring takes, I don't know, I've never timed it, but it seems like it takes 5 minutes. I imagine it's not quite that long, but when you're sitting there waiting for it to load, it feels like it. And I think there's a lot of cars on the track in this one as well. Sorry about that, guys. I should have been more prepared before I started the stream, but I don't always do things according to protocol. Alright, so, hey, 48, 49 frames a second, awesome.
Ja, tjena! Vad ska komma ut?
Yeah, not sure what that's all about. Okay, so let's first go to the garage. I'm going to
Go ahead and pass on that.
go to iRacing setups. Okay, so I'm modified from Watkins Race. You know what? I'm not going to save that because that wretched track is done for this season, which I'm thankful of.
This is the furthest I've got without being taken out. I'm praying to God.
I start off there fast and I get slower as the
where
week
you
goes
are on
on.
the
It's
relative.
an anomaly. Alright, so let's do Le Mans. Alright, so I'm going to even all the tire pressures out at 23. Not saying that these are wrong. This is just the way I start off. I always start off at 23 pounds. Wing setting 1. We're going to leave that there for the time being. Chassis brake bias 60%. I already know that I'm not going to like that, so I'm going to lower it to 58. We'll start there. Third spring stiff. Third spring gap 3.67 inches. So who built this setup? Sisters of the Blind? No, it's useless. Why would you have a third spring gap that big? Take this down to, let's say, 1.5. ARB rate 86 pounds. Wow, okay. ARB preload. That's about as close as you're going to get the front ARB rate to 0. High speed compression dams. 857. Oh, they have really soft springs for Le Mans. All right, that's awesome. So they may have nailed the gear ratios already. I already know that that's way too much preload. So let's go ahead and let's take this down to 55. The high-speed tracks are like there.
Can we paint visor stickers now?
Let's do 6.
We can, but you can't.
Let's go ahead and start traction control at 8. I have a button that I adjusted on the fly. I'll go up and down accordingly. But I always build them with 8 and then adjust them from there. All right. That right there. No. Just no. All right, so we're going to stick with their camber and caster, and we're going to stick with their preloads. We're not going to mess with the high-speed compression damming.
Really?
Yet. The most important thing we want to do right now is make sure that this is correct right here, the gear ratio, because that's the strength of this track is going to be your outright speed. You're going to spend more time here with your foot flat on the floor than anywhere else, which is why originally I was thinking of using my Daytona set as my baseline, because up until this track, that was the one where you spent the most time with your foot flat on the floor. So let's try it like this. Let's see where we're at. And we'll have to check our field of view as well. Alright, so let me adjust my field of view a little bit here.
Nice pass, Tom.
Thanks, Mark.
Alright. Tony Costello and George Sandman at the top of the... new sounds. Car sounds a little angrier.
You got a slow car on the right.
I just had a crazy pause there. Whole screen froze.
They say you cut the course. You'll have to slow down and give up the time gained. Go left.
So just nice and easy through here. First thing I want to check on here, okay, so now we're on the straight. Let's see what we have here. Definitely tell the gear ratio is really tall because it's taking a while to wind up. Very scenic. I'm gonna have to run a graphics config because I'm getting some flashing here. It's 190. Break here. .90 was the fastest speed I noticed there. I don't know if y'all saw anything different. Oops.
And
George Sandman 337, so that's pretty much what I'm shooting for. I mean, not now, I have to learn the track. I haven't driven this track since like Gran Turismo 4 or something. Right now I'm kind of enjoying the scenery. They did a really good job. And the sounds are so much better. Oh, there's another big pause there. 7, 990. Another big pause. It's pausing for about a second when it does it. It looks good though. Another pause. Good Lord, that's getting irritating. Apparently you get a slowdown penalty if you're seeing John Saples run from inside sim racing. John did a really good job displaying this track earlier. Made me really want to run home and get it.
Go left.
Messed that up. Acceleration doesn't quite feel there. There's another pause. Wow. I don't know if y'all are seeing that pause, but it's wild.
Left side.
I come by, bro.
Clear on the left.
Sorry, mate.
193.
Car stopped on the right.
Saw 194 that time.
That should be fun.
Almost messed that up again. I mean, I did mess it up, but I almost completely screwed it like I did the first time. Well, so far the 23 PSI seems to be right. Of course, I'm not really pushing the car into the corners yet, so it may still be a little bit too high. Watching that right rear tire is not quite up yet. You always get that one bastard child that won't come in out the rain. There's that pause again. Completely froze up. Well, it gives me I'm gonna end the stream right now. I will be back. I'm gonna run the graphics config like I should have done. Instead of being lazy, it was just kind of late at night. I will be back.